Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and our guests today are Kip Kint and Jack Rolfe from the School of Life Foundation. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be with you today.
We appreciate you taking the time. Now, Jack, tell us a little bit about what the School of Life Foundation is and does.
Our organization is a nonprofit foundation, and our mission is to increase high school graduation rates. We accomplish that by teaching a character-building life skills program to at-risk youth in high schools, middle schools, and we're starting a pilot program in elementary schools this year. It's an after-school program.
Fantastic. Jack, how did you get started with this?
Yeah, I originally wrote the book that was the curriculum now for our program. It's called Learn to School Your Toughest Opponent, which is ourselves. And it contains what we call the Straight A's in Life system. That's a series of 10 A's that we teach these students to apply to their life. For example, the first A is appreciation. So I wrote this book and published it and went the traditional route of trying to sell it. And I was out speaking to many different groups, quickly realized that it was impactful to youth. So I changed all my thinking process, started the School of Life Foundation, and started donating the book so that I could give back. And that was about 7 years ago. 4 years ago is when we started teaching our school program, and that's when we really found our niche and have had great success and growth since that time.
Oh, fantastic. Kip, tell us a little bit about how you measure success at School of Life Foundation.
Well, specifically for us, it's the level of impact that we have on the student. The majority of our students are at risk. Some of them officially so. By their high school, they could be officially labeled as off track to graduate. And our greatest measure of success is the impact that we have on that graduation rate. Well, that all starts in the classroom. If we can't connect with the student, then they're not going to make any changes. So our entire focus across the board with all of our trainers is to reach out to these students and make a connection, to have them connect with us connect with them, and then respond to the principles that we are training on. I don't think I need to tell you, but a principle is a natural law or a fundamental truth. This is not stuff we can make up. We just need it to resonate with these students.
You know, the interesting thing about your work is I don't think you're teaching kids how to be better students. You're not giving them incentives to stay in school or to graduate. How is it that what you do teach translates into that outcome? And how do you know that you're getting that outcome? How do you know you're keeping kids in school longer and that more are graduating?
Well, those are great questions, Devin. First of all, we know that we're having an impact because our data, like we're crazy nuts about our data. And so we don't ask these schools or the students to pay anything for the program, but they do have a commitment to the program. They track, for example, GPA, both before and after the quarter that the students take the School of Life program. We asked them to track whether or not a student was officially off track to graduate and whether or not they got back on track and if they eventually graduate. And we have data, 4 years worth of data now to show that we are having a very significant impact. So that's the data side of things. As far as how we know we're reaching the students and yet we're not really, you mentioned we're not talking about academics. We don't talk about academics. We don't talk about studying. We don't talk about GPA. We just talk about these life principles, these straight A's that Jack wrote about, and they resonate with them at a core level that they want to do better in their lives, and a significant part of their life happens to be school. And so it just naturally rises everything in their life, including school.
Jack, tell us about the data. I want to hear about the hard numbers. I think you have some good statistics, but tell us what they are.
Well, thank you for asking that. Before I jump into that, let me just add one last thing to Kip's comments there. Devin, we are really trying to help these students come to a realization that they are the ones that have control of their life.
Exactly.
Because of circumstances going on at home or even outside of the home that are not positive, they feel like they're victims. But once they realize they have control of their life and their behavior starts to change, their grades start to come up because they're applying these life principles of character, that's where the light bulb really goes off and we have that success. So we measure three things currently. One is their actual behavior, and we do that through a pre and post test of tool online of the character attributes that we're teaching. And currently 94% of the students that go through our program are experiencing positive gains in their character. And that translates, currently the top 5 things are an overall happiness in their life, how they handle peer pressure at school, how they address attendance at school, how they are fulfilling their assignments, and also setting goals. So that's the character attributes, the top 5 that are happening with 94% of our students.
Wow.
Now, yeah, it's phenomenal. It really is. The other thing, the second thing we're measuring is their GPA scores, as Kip mentioned, before the class and then after the class, which I should explain. This happens over a 30-day period. They're getting 2 hours of interactive classwork once a week for 4 weeks. So there's 4 2-hour classes, 8 hours total. And after they've completed the class, then that next quarter, their GPA scores are measured again. Currently, about 70% of the students that complete our program are having an average increase of 12% in their GPA scores. Now, as we talk to school administrators, they inform us that if they bring a program into their school focused solely on GPA scores, if they see a 2% increase, they get excited about it. So 12% is off the charts.
And it should be noted that our program is not actually designed to increase GPA. We just thought it would be interesting to measure that. And so a few years ago, we started measuring that, and sure enough, it has an impact on GPA.
What piqued our interest there was the research shows the reason students are dropping out of school is because of behavior and academic challenges. So those 2 increases we see there then translates to our mission of increasing high school graduation rates. Currently, the senior students that enter our program that are off track to graduate, 88% of them turn around and actually graduate. Of the undergraduate students in our program that are off track to advance to the next grade level, 91% of those students are turning around their life and actually advancing to that next grade level, which keeps them on course to graduate. Now, to bring that to full circle as to why that's important, currently, Devin, in our country, the United States, we have 8,300 students every day dropping out of high school. They're more likely to be involved in crime, live in poverty, and experience poor health. That translates to a cost to us as taxpayers of about $300,000 per student dropping out. So every day, we're adding $2.4 billion of additional financial burden to our country by these students that are dropping out. So we're starting to chip away at that. And last year, through our efforts, we were able to see a positive increase to society of over $18 million.
Can you tell us the story of a student that you've helped? Even if you need to anonymize it a little bit, can you think of a student that was really struggling, that went through your program and has done well?
I think Kip's got one right now.
How do I pick one,
Yeah.
right? But, you know, I think of a student, and I will anonymize it, but you know, we'll call him John, and this was only a year ago. And, you know, I came into the class the first day, and sometimes you can see by the body language and the facial expression, I dare you to teach me something, and they're just not engaging. And, within about 20, 30 minutes, he started to open up. He's a little bit of a rough looking character, hair down to here, tattoos, some things like that. But he started to engage. He started to open up. And the way the classes fell at this time is that we had 3 classes, and then we had a break because of a holiday at the school. And so it's not our norm, but 2 weeks later, we picked up with the final graduation session, which is where they give a final project. They stand up in front of their peers for 5, 6, 7 minutes, pick one of the A's that we've been training on, and then they will talk about how it's impacted their life. Well, the week right before that break, we talked about, among other things, the A called avoid, the importance of avoiding negative people, negative influences, and so forth. And he seemed to really resonate with that. Well, the 2 weeks go by, we come back, we're ready to start, and I'm like, where's John? And we're all looking around, and here he comes down the hallway in a bright orange prison jumpsuit. I'm like, what? He has an ankle bracelet around his ankle, and he explains to me that he did not avoid some negative people and influences over that holiday break. But the reason that he was able to get out is he went back before the judge and begged that he would be released just for those 2 hours so he could graduate from the School of Life, continue his education, and stay on track. And the judge said, if it was for any other thing, I wouldn't let you do it. And so he came back, and the A that he presented on was avoid. And Devin, I got to tell you, it was powerful. I was in tears. All of the students were in tears to hear him speak from the heart. I saw him in the hallways literally 3 weeks after that, completely on track to graduate, a changed person. And that's one of many, many stories that we could share, but it's one of my favorite ones.
That is a very touching story, in fact. So I want to ask you both just a couple of quick personal questions, if I could. And I'll ask you just to respond briefly, but you have become, to many people, especially these young people, role models and examples. Who do you look up to, Jack, as a role model?
I've got many people, but the one that's the most important role model in my life is my wife, Lexi. And she is a shining example of always thinking of others, always serving others, always wanting to make the world a better place. And she has lifted my life. In fact, without her support, I really wouldn't have been able to launch this foundation and be growing it to where we're going. And so she is my shining star.
Kip, what about you?
Man, I have a lot of role models in my life. I'll tell you one that maybe is surprising to some. It's actually another School of Life graduate, a student who is now, he's not even quite 18. He'd had a rough time of things in Southern California, and then he moved to St. George, Utah, and he didn't make it in the traditional school system. He ended up going to the adult high school where we were piloting the program, and he really engaged. Like the first day he didn't, but each day, each week, he opened up more and more. And as he fully unveiled his story, it was another heart-wrenching kind of a situation that any human being would have to go through some of the things that he's been through in his young life. Well, he graduated from the School of Life. He accelerated at an incredible pace his graduation, having gone from off-track, troubled student, not going to graduate, to graduating early. He's still not 18, and he's already started college now. He's actually our newest School of Life intern. We have an intern program for college students, and so he's going through the training to become a School of Life trainer. And he essentially lives on his own at 17 and a half years old and provides for himself and is putting himself through school, and he's becoming a School of Life trainer. The reason I consider him a role model is because we all need to change. No matter what our circumstance is in life, we all need to face our next challenge with some humility and with some courage. And he is exactly that for me.
Humility and courage. What a great combination, powerful combination. Well, Jack, I want to ask you, and then Kip again, if you would tell us why you care about this. It's been a while since you were in high school, and I bet your kids did just fine in high school. Why do you care about these kids who are struggling? And I get the data. I suspect there's some connection, some motivation for you that goes well past the data.
Yes, there is, Devin. My own mother, who is deceased now, dropped out of school in the 8th grade. And I got to see firsthand how that impacted her life and the struggles that she went through from not having that high school diploma. And so every student now that through this program we're able to help graduate, I dedicate that to my mom. And it's wonderful to have multiple dedications every year. Bless her soul.
Oh, thank you. What a tender story. Kip, what about you? Why do you care about this?
Jack approached me a couple of years ago, and I'm a professional coach. I'm also a professional trainer and public speaker, and I traveled around the world doing that, and make a reasonable compensation for my time and efforts there. And I don't know that I knew that I cared about it until Jack kind of started to talk to me about it, and I was thinking, I'm a little busy. Now, Jack is crazy like a fox. He knows what he's doing, because he asked me if I would just go visit a class, just observe. And I went to a class at Dixie High School here in St. George, and the two trainers that were there, they didn't let me just sit. They had me chime in here and there, and I saw how they started to reach these students. And there was a couple of rough-looking students in there too, and how these students started to open up and respond and change, and something clicked in me. And I thought back to my own high school years. I graduated with a solid 2.0 GPA, but I thought about the principles that the trainers were training, and they're principles that I've used in my professional coaching for 20 years, and realized that these are not just for people who have a fat wallet and can afford to bring those into their lives. This is for everybody, and it can really change lives. And it just stirred something in me. And I went back to Jack and I said, how do we get started? Let's impact more youth and see what we can do to make their lives better. So he had me then.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you joined Jack in this effort. Now, one last question, and Kip, maybe I'll ask you to respond first, and we'll ask Jack to respond. But everyone who's watching wants to do more good, have more impact. Can you think of something you do every day that helps you to be more successful, have more impact, and do more good?
This might sound a little boring, but I'm pretty consistent with doing the little things that count every day. And most of the things that I do are learned behaviors. They're not things that I did naturally as a kid or even in my young adulthood. For example, I plan weekly, and I put it in a color-coded calendar on Google Calendar, and I review that every single day for 10 to 15 minutes and then execute daily. Now, I'll make changes as needed. Things come up I couldn't have predicted, but planning weekly and executing daily, it's a little thing I learned from Dr. Stephen Covey. That's something that I've done pretty consistently for about 17, 18 years, and that's one thing that has made a big difference.
Great. What about you, Jack? What do you do?
Well, I'll narrow it down to one, but we truly within our organization live our core values, which are the 10 A's that we teach the students. But that very first A, which I think I mentioned earlier, is appreciation. And it's the first A because there's a reason for that. We really feel like having gratitude in your life lays the foundation for everything else. And so the homework in appreciation is every day say thank you for something you would normally take for granted. And every week send someone a thank you note. And watch how your life changes just by being appreciative of all the things that are around you and all the other things that people are doing. It's huge. And we see this in our students. That's the first thing we teach them.
Very good. I agree. There's so much power in appreciation. I appreciate you reminding us of that. Now, I really appreciate the time you've taken to be with us today. Speaking of appreciation, I appreciate you. And really, before you go, want to make sure that you have a chance to tell people how they can learn more about this program. I know some people want to be getting their kids into this program. Others will be wanting to get it into their schools. So tell people how they can learn more.
So and come to our website, schooloflifefoundation.org. They can call us at 435-632-2947 and just reach out. We are there. We want to help. We want to talk to those that want to be involved somehow in supporting the students and those that would like to have information on how to bring this program to their school as well.
Fantastic. I love it. Thank you very much, Jack. Appreciate your time. And Kip, thank you. And we wish you every success in the great work that you're doing.
Thank you, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good.